Welcome back to the video course on Soft Skill 1. In our last class, we started with new word formation. And as you know that in new word formation, we discussed how an original word or the root word can be used to form new words. Like we can do this by using either a prefix or a suffix. So a prefix is when we are using something at the beginning of the original word or root word and we are forming a new word. And a suffix is when we are adding something, a word or a word phrase or anything at the end of a word and then we are forming a new word. And under the prefix and suffix, we covered how we use prefixes to form new words. So let us look at first the highlights of our last lecture. So the topics covered in the last video were conjunction and the types of conjunction, interjection and types of interjection, and we started vocabulary building. In the vocabulary building, we covered synonyms, antonyms, homophones, and homonyms. Then we also discussed new word formation. Under new word formation, we covered prefix. And in today's class, we will start with suffix. So what are suffixes? Suffixes are the letters which are added at the end of a stem. The stem we say at the end of a original or a root word to make new words. Now the affixes which are used in the suffixed words are different from the ones that we use in the prefix, as they make different kinds of words. So both of them, for example, when we were making a prefix and a word with a prefix, then we were using like un was a prefix, and when added to the root word happy, then it was converted as unhappy, which is the opposite of the original word happy. But when we are using a suffix, suppose we are using the suffix ly, then we have converted happy into the new word as happily. So as you can see that the prefix and suffix use different affixes to make the new words. Then it is not necessary that a suffix change both meaning and the grammatical property of the words. It can perform either of them. A suffix can make a word or stem of a word a noun, verb, adverb or adjective. So any of the above like a noun or a verb or an adverb or an adjective can be used to make a new word by addition of a suffix. And a suffix can also transform in the degree of an adjective or in the tense of a verb. Example, age. So age is a condition, like we have leakage, bondage, marriage. So suppose the root word was leak, L-E-A-K, leak, and then which means oozing out or something coming out, a liquid perhaps, and then we have added the suffix that is age, that is a condition. So leak plus age gets the new word as leakage. Similarly, we have an action, al, all. Then we had deny, which was the verb, and to the verb deny we added the suffix that was al, and the new word was denial. And denial is now a noun form that has been made out of the root word deny. So here we have a list of suffixes that we commonly use in English, like we have age, all, wise, ly, like wise we use otherwise, likewise, clockwise, crosswise. Then we have ment. For ment we are using it as achievement, encouragement, excitement. Then we have ness, and we are adding it like heavy plus ness comes out as heaviness or highness or sickness or rudeness, happiness, all of these. Then we have ship as friendship, hardship, then membership and etc. Also we have like ion, we have position, then we have cohesion, affection, ambition, and similarly we use ate as mediate, then collaborate, eliminate. Then we have full as playful, thankful, skillful, and we have the meanings also, like we have less, which means without, so we are using hopeless, meaningless, homeless, someone who's without a home, and then spotless, without any spot. Then we have ly, that is relating to quality, that we have softly, happily, madly, and then we have words like WARD or WARDS that shows the direction as towards, afterwards, backwards, forwards, and inward and outward, etc. Now let us move on to the next topic, that is organizational communication. So before this we discussed what are soft skills, and then we covered what are the basics of English grammar in terms of parts of speech and new word formation, etc. And here we will move further to how you will communicate in an organization. What is an organizational communication? Because as you will pass out, dear students, then you will move on to the professional world, whether you go for maybe an entrepreneurship, a business of yours, or whether you join a company or a center, or whether you go for higher studies, anywhere you will need communication. And when you start working, then you will be a part of an organization, or you will own an organization, or you will collaborate with people of an organization. Then you should be knowing how the organizational communication is done, and what are the different types, and what are the different methods in which you can recognize how to do the formal and informal communication at your workplace. So firstly, let us see what is organizational communication. So an organization is an arrangement of people to perform some particular task or purposes. So suppose we have a group of people, then they will be called a random group if they are just collaborating and they are discussing on random issues. But when they will collaborate or come together or team up to do something which is regarding some particular task, which is giving them some mutual benefits, and which is generating some business, then this is called an organization. Now communication, as you see that the word is made up of two words, it is organizational and communication. So first we have understood what is organization. So organization is an arrangement where people come together for some particular business or for something which is giving them mutual monetary benefits. Then we have communication, the latter part. So communication is exchange of ideas, plans, knowledge, and information. So all sort of ideas, all sort of verbal thoughts, or you can have all sorts of oral communication, all sorts of written form of exchange of ideas, exchange of your plans, what you have chalked out for yourself, or sharing of knowledge, or passing out random information, all comes under communication. Thus when we club the two, the organizational communication means all the pattern, networks, and systems of communication within an organization. So all the patterns means all the forms in which communication is taking place, network, all the collaborative groups that have been formed, all the chain of communication that has been spread in the organization, and system of communication, that is the hierarchies that you have in the communication. Everything comes under organizational communication, who is reporting to whom, or how you will uh, ask your superior, so the channel, everything, how it is done, how information is circulated, how it passes from the one at the lower level to the one at the topmost in the hierarchy. So how everything is done, every all of it comes under one broad umbrella, that is organizational communication. Now we have the forms of communication. So it is basically two types, formal communication and the informal communication. As you can see here, we have a pictorial representation where you can see some group of people are sitting on a table with their laptops open and they're discussing something. So here when they are discussing over business and on a table, and some discussion is there regarding their work, then this will come under the formal communication, right? And here when you see two employees, they're standing with some beverage in their hand and they're discussing any issue that might be personal related to the office, or that might be related to their individual personal life, or it might be related to some other employee in the office. So any discussion which they are doing which is out of the regular work meetings, that is said to be the informal communication that we have. Like on the right side you can see the formal communication part, and on the left side you can see the informal communication being shown. Now let us see what are the two types that we have discussed just now, the formal communication and informal communication. So communication that takes place within the organizational work arrangement. So within the system, the hierarchy that you have, the channel that is followed while you have to report to your manager, or you have to delegate some tasks to your team, or you have to talk to your subordinates. So the regular chain that you follow for work related matters, that comes under the formal communication. Example, a manager asks his or her employees to do a task. So suppose the manager is asking the assistant manager that he needs to get something done by the executives. So the manager has first told the assistant manager, then the assistant manager might call for a meeting and ask the executives to perform some function, and as that is related to the work, then suppose this regarding a new sales venture that he's going to launch for the upcoming festival season. So that is formal communication, right? uh, Now suppose informal communication, how we do this and what it is. So the communication that is not defined by the organizational structure, hierarchy, or order. So when you are not actually opting for some regular pattern or network, and you go for a random flow of information, or you go for random circulation of ideas, thoughts, or opinions, then you have informal communication. So the major difference between the two is that informal communication does not follow any proper channel. You cannot define the path that okay, this is the way how the reporting will be done. For example, we have the employees conversation during lunch. The informal can be on based on the social group regarding their personal matters. It can also be based regarding the work that is going on in the organization. But informal communication is also promoted because this helps in promoting healthy employee relations, and also helps to manage the stress that you have at workplace. So now let us look at the advantages and the disadvantages of formal communication. So first we will see the advantages of the formal communication. The first, as you can see, satisfy the information needs of the organization. So suppose any employee has recently joined the company and he needs to ask where so and so system is available, or who is the person to contact regarding some particular task, who can guide, then any information that you want to extract, that is helpful by the formal communication. Then you have integrates the organization coordination and control. Suppose you are working on a plan that is maybe to launch a new product, then you have a team, a product development team. Then the product development team employees, they are talking about, suppose, how they will progress with the firstly conceptualization and the design, then at what time do they want to launch the product, everything they will chalk out, and they have a members who are specialized in their respective areas, and they will give ideas and they will give opinion, and this will help in a better coordination and control. And in this way you can prepare a follow plan or plan of action. So formal communication helps you in all of these. Then we have third, sorts the information for high level executives. So also suppose the management wants to get update regarding what is happening in the organization. So he might ask for a report from the assistant manager regarding his particular team, but maybe here particular product development team. Then the assistant manager will report to the manager of production or the manager of marketing, what is the update regarding this set of project or this particular project that you are working on, or that the team is working on, maybe from the past 2 months or 3 months or whatever span of time they are working on it. And by this way the top management can also get updates on what is happening in the company or in the organization. Then we have restricts the unwanted flow of information. So formal communication also, see, because it is something which is recorded, it is something which you have on records, maybe in the oral form, or if, also in the written form, mostly in the written form. Whatever communication that you are having in formal mode, everything you have nowadays on mails or in form of reports or in documentation is done. And that is why you can anytime filter, like if the top management does not want the lower level employees to know the terms and conditions of maybe a particular deal, then they can filter out or they can restrict who all can have access to that particular set of information. Then similarly, we have the reliability and accuracy of information. Also, as this information is firstly screened and then only provided to the other different departments and the lower level employees, so there is no chance of any facts which are not true, or anything which has been misappropriately mentioned, or anything which has been made up. So this is something which is concrete, and you can totally work or act according to the formal communication that has been done. Then we have the disadvantages. So the disadvantages of formal communication are, it is time consuming and expensive. See, the organization, suppose it is spending time on preparing the plan of action and then explaining it. Then in the office hours you are having meetings and call-ups, and then sending maybe a written drafts to everyone, or you're sending the report material handouts being printed. So everything involves a cost, and also it is expensive at times, because time is money and you are investing time to pass on the information in the organization. Then you have, it increases the workload of the line supervisor. So a main drawback of the formal communication is that nothing can be done on its own, and everything has a proper medium that has to be followed. Like for every particular text or every particular action that you want to be done, you have to get it authorized, you have to get verified, you have to get it signed and passed from your supervisor, then only you can act on it. So suppose a person who is at the fourth level in the hierarchy has to ask for some permission, then if it is a formal communication, then firstly he will take permission from the person at the level 3, then he will the person at level 3 will forward it to the person at level 2, and the person at level 2 will then go to the person at level 1, and only if the person at level 1 also approves the particular thing, then only the person at the level 4 can proceed with his plan of action. So this involves a lot of time, and also at times the process gets delayed. Then information may get distorted. Also, it happens that when passing through so many levels, that the particular essence of the information is lost, right? Because too many middle points will actually um, cause some disturbance in the message in the form. Like suppose one person is writing the letter and is communicating his boss through that letter. Now the second person in the hierarchy is being communicated orally by the third person and asking over a telephonic conversation. Then the person who is hearing the telephonic conversation might write it in his or her own words and report it to the reporting officer. So out of the change of mediums that we have, because it is not necessary that everywhere the same medium you will follow or the same mode you will adopt to pass on to every level in the hierarchy. So this results in the message being distorted. Then we have creates gaps between the top executives and the lower subordinates. So also because there is not freedom of reaching out to the immediate supervisor or to the top manager, you cannot reach them out directly. So it happens that there are communication gaps in the organization. Now let us see the direction of communication flow that we have. Basically, in formal communication, there are 4 types of communication flow. The first is the downward communication, second is upward communication, the third is lateral communication, or we also call it as horizontal communication, and the fourth we have diagonal communication. Now starting with the first one, that is downward communication. So communication that flows downward from a manager to an employee is said to be the downward communication. So as you can see in this picture, we have a branch manager. This is the downward communication in a bank. Suppose any ABC bank we have. So the branch manager is the top managing authority here. The bank manager passes on the information to the marketing manager, to the finance manager, to the operations manager, who all are under him. Now, the finance manager, after getting due information from the branch manager, passes it to the cashier, and the operations manager to the officer, and the marketing manager to the BDO. But if at all the cashier has to communicate something, so he is not allowed to pass it directly to the branch manager. The only way of passing information is the branch manager can directly move to the cashier, or the branch manager can move to the officer, but the officer cannot go to the operations manager or to the branch manager. So this is only a flow of communication where you have just one way of communication from top to bottom. Any reverse form of communication here is not allowed. Now let us see the merits and the demerits of the downward communication. Okay, so now we will cover the merits and demerits of downward communication. So first let us see the merits of downward communication. How it is useful? It is useful for the management. It is easy for the management, as the management can just delegate the task. Okay, manager 1, this you have to do, manager 2, this you have to do, and the manager 1 has to report maybe executive 1 under him, and executive 1 can report maybe a trainee 1 or 2 who is under him. Then it is good for the organization. It is good because there is a proper channel that is being followed. There is not anything that has been made up, and it has a systematic flow of information that is being passed from the top management. See, because in upward communication, things are being propagated from the bottom to the top, but in downward communication, things are coming from the top of the organization. And as you know that the top management is the final decision maker. So if the top management is telling you something, that information is final, is confirmed, and is the final call. So you don't have any confusion regarding whether this information is 100% accurate or not, or whether there will be any changes to it or not. You know that this is how things have to be done, so you have ultimate clarity on it. Then it is useful for the employees. Then we have superiors are well informed. So here, because everything the superiors are only deciding, the top management is firstly telling the superiors, and superiors are telling the workers. So there is nothing that the superiors or the middle managers will say that no, they are not aware of so and so thing. Then a sense of belonging. Also, everybody is finally taken or treated as on a uniform manner, as every information is being directed from the top management, and everybody knows that okay, they are the owner, they are the authority, and rest everyone else is under them. So they feel sort of being attached to the organization in a way that nothing is which is being different for one person to the or different for the other person. There is no any preference being given. Then there are some demerits also. Time consuming. The time consuming, because when each and everything is being told to you separately, and every small thing is being explained to every individual employee, then this takes a lot of time at many places. Then distortion also. Distortion may be when they are communicating to a number of levels. Then there might be situation where the middle manager has misunderstood the information, and so he has passed on the incomplete information to the next level, and this has caused a lot of distortion, and the total meaning or the complete message has been taken in another way. Then we have an authoritarian approach. So the top management might act as some a dictator, like he's always delegating the task, and the lower level employees, they don't have any say in the organization. So yes, at times it might seem a little authoritative. Then over and under communication, so it might cause that there is a lot of communication being done that is not required at times, and also there may be times when they are not being told details regarding the message that is being given to them. So there may be both cases, that they are giving a lot of details, or there is a case when they are not getting the minute details that they require. Then different priorities. See also the angle they have regarding how they see the information priority, or how they see that this information needs to be explained in the manner, differs. Suppose the top management, so top management might think, okay, this I have given the keywords, now the middle managers can do the rest of the part. But maybe at times the middle management also gets confused, or middle management manager is not clear. So for a top management, this much information is sufficient, and the rest they can make up, but the middle manager is not that well versed, so this calls for a little lack of information being given, and that is why things are maybe not communicated in the manner they should be. Then no confidential matter, because everything from the top management is being told to each and every employee at each and every level. So there is no confidentiality, there is no secrecy of information, and everybody gets to know every single thing, which at times is not good when you have some sensitive information for the company. Now let us see the another form of communication, that is upward communication. So the communication that flows upward from the employee to the manager. So here you can see that we have the assistant vice president regarding the product A. We have vice president, that is assistant to regarding the product B, and this is for the production department, and similarly we have for the sales department. So from the assistant vice president, the information is being passed to the vice president, and from the vice president we have again the president. So when the information is flowed in a manner that from the lower level to the higher level you are disseminating the information, then that is upward communication. Now here we also have the advantages of the upward communication. The advantages of the upward communication, the first advantage is that it fosters friendly relations. So as the lower level employees feel that okay, for every single problem that they have, they can go to the manager, they can tell their issues, and the management is ready to solve their problems. So they have a more collaborative bond and a healthy relation among themselves also and with the management also. Then provides valuable feedback. There is also a case when at times the employees who are actually working on the project, they can give better ideas, they can give you better inputs, and because they are having hands-on experience on that particular activity or particular task, whatever you are giving them, so they are facing the real-time problems, so they can give you better feedback. Encourages participation. As you are inviting people from all the levels and from all across departments to give suggestion, to give their ideas, so their involvement also increases. It is a two-way process. So in this there is bilateral communication where you have both the parties are getting involved, exchanging their ideas, thoughts, opinions, and thus communication here is not one way but two way. Next you have making suggestions. So also after discussing issues with the management, they can have suggestions being implemented, and they will feel free to give their suggestions. And introducing new projects. So idea can be not even from the top management or from the senior management level, but it can also generate from the a worker level or an executive level or an AVP level, and this helps in better projects being coming out and new projects being realized. Employee morale. Also the employees feel motivated, they feel boosted, they feel okay, they are being recognized in the firm, and this acts as a fragment that increases their confidence in the organization and also their confidence in the work and workplace. Then we have the disadvantages of upward communication. Uh, Everything has some pros and some cons. So here also we have, regarding the upward communication, resistance from the employees. So the employees also at times they feel a little resistant because they don't have anything to share. They are being asked for their suggestions and they cannot give better suggestions, better opinions. So what they feel that okay, they are not competent enough. Then fear of incompetence, as I already told you. Indecisive superiors, at times the superiors listen to them, but the superiors do not act on that, and so they are disappointed because they feel that they are being heard but they are not being listened, because they are hearing, they are asking them, okay, you come forward to me and I will see to your problem, but they are not doing something to solve their issues. So definitely the lower level employees or the executives whom they are working, they feel a little demotivated. Then we have unwillingness to admit the failure. Also, as the employees can move up to the management, and when they are being asked why did it so and so thing, when they are being accountable, then they might not accept their mistakes, and this leads to their unwillingness being generated. Now let us see the lateral communication, or we have the horizontal flow of communication. So, what is lateral communication? The communication that takes place among any employees in the organizational level. So, suppose we have a president, and we have two broad sectors. We have production department and we have the sales department. Then we have the vice president production and we have the vice president sales and the vice president. So, and in the lateral communication, the vice president production can directly talk to the vice president sales, and if the vice president sales need any information, he can talk to the assistant vice president of product B. Suppose the VP sales need to some information that is regarding product A. So instead of first going to the president, then asking the president to convey his message to vice president production, and then if he permits, then only he can move to the assistant vice president. The VP sales can directly contact the AVP of product A. Like there is no regular hierarchy level in terms of upward communication or downward communication, but they can communicate to all the employees which are at the same level. Like all the assistant vice presidents, they can communicate to each other. All the vice presidents can communicate with each other without seeking permission from the top management, that is the president. So this is how lateral communication is done. Now let us see the fourth type of communication that we have in formal communication, or the last category that we have in the formal communication, that is diagonal communication. So a diagonal communication is the one that cuts across the work areas and organizational levels. So how is it different from lateral communication? See, in upward communication we are having an order that is from top to bottom. In downward communication we are having bottom up. In formal communication, then we horizontal communication, what we're having, the employees at the same level, they can talk to each other. But in diagonal communication, the employee which is not at the same level, they can also communicate with each other. Suppose that manager is having assistant manager, maybe 1 2 3 4, we have a manager production, and here you can see he is having four assistant managers, AM1, AM2, AM3 and AM4. Then the assistant manager 4 can ask something directly from the manager sales. He does not need permission from the top management first. So not only among the same level, but also cross department, cross functional, they can ask for any information that they need. So this is how diagonal communication works. So that is all about formal communication, and we will cover the informal in our next video. Thank you.